This week's Unikernel application spotlight is LavinMQ. The MQ stands for message queue. So this is an interesting little project I ran into recently. Just like RabbitMQ or ActiveMQ or Kafka, or there's a thousand of these types of projects out there, and they're all very different in their own different ways. We're gonna dive into why this is special. But yeah, LavinMQ, just allows you to do normal pub sub sort of stuff. Has full AMQP support. It's a single binary, which is great because it just makes it 1,000 times easier to use. One recurring theme you might find in our Unikernel videos is we usually like projects that can be a single binary. Now, if you have like 10 different binaries working together in, like, say, a larger system, that's one thing, but we always think it's better that, like, to do the most basic task, it should just be kind of a single binary. So this is adheres to that. I kind of lost myself diving into all these different use cases that they call out here, just because it shows you like how much this sort of architecture model gets used. Like I said, there's a ton. If you go look on our package hub for message queues, there's quite a few of them that we've cut packages for, and obviously we've cut package for this. What you'll notice right off the bat, though, is this one's written in Crystal. So Crystal is something I really haven't gotten too much to play with, but it's an interesting language. We can jump over to that for a second. So Crystal, if you look at it, like, and you don't know anything about it, you're like, oh, it's Ruby, because it has the same sort of syntax as Ruby has. However, it's pretty different from a language like Ruby for a few reasons. One, this entire thing you can compile. So that automatically is going to make things a lot faster. Two, the type system, you get static types. So that's also pretty different than Ruby, where you can have a 2,000 line class and instantiate it and then like completely overwrite it with a number 42, right? So type systems, and I don't want to get too political here, but typing systems are pretty important, and definitely is something that is good, right? When you have things like static types, first off, you eliminate entire classes of bugs that you can do. And if you look at, when TDD and things like that got popular in the late 00s, it was because people were using languages like Ruby back then, and they just needed to write like a crap ton more extra tests than they would have had to have done in, say, like Go or some language like that. And that's simply because there's just like way fewer ways to shoot yourself in the foot if you have access to types. So static typing, and then compilation. And then they also throw in fiber-like Go routines, green threads, and basically this just makes the concurrency story a lot better too. So like I said, I haven't really played around too much with Crystal, but what I have played around, it feels pretty performant to me. I haven't like stress tested or anything, but it does feel pretty damn performant. So I think it's a good fit. Yeah, LavinMQ comes with a whole host of stuff. They obviously have a hosted solution. They wrote this little perf thing, which we probably won't do today, but they can definitely brag about these million messages a second and things like that. Let's show you the system. All right, so we're going to pop these three ports, 5672, 1883, and 15672. This last one is the administrative port. I think this is the web socket one. I could be wrong about that. And then 5672 and 5673 depending on if you have TLS as your AMQP. So we pop that open. It's up immediately because, again, this is compiled. Get our 4 threads. That's cool. And then we can go ahead and create like a vhost. But before I do that, let's just talk about what a vhost is. So, so a vhost is simply just a way to kind of group / isolate your connections and your queues and your consumers and your pubs, puts them all into one little, one little container, to use their words, and just kind of keeps things segregated. So this would be handy if like, say you have many different customers that you're serving, and you just want to kind of isolate each one away from each other. So we have this open. We created the vhost. Let's look at our deal. So we've been up for a minute. Yeah, so like I said, you can kind of toggle back and forth in between these. It'll show you like live connections, the consumers, the exchanges, the queues. You got logs and policies. Let's go ahead and send it some messages. So I said, let's go ahead, instead of using something like curl, let's go ahead and use Crystal. So Crystal, I'm just using their, let's see. I wonder if I left this open. I don't think I did. Okay, so I'm just using this Crystal tutorial here. And basically, shards is the package manager for Crystal. So we look at our YAML file here, and we just have this one dependency, the AMQP client. If we look at pub.cr, as you can see, this is very similar to Ruby. I don't know how much of this matches Ruby syntax, but the most important thing here is we went ahead and set it to the default of guest 5672 and to this default vhost that we just created. And then our consumer is, as you would expect, the exact same thing, right? It says hello and received. So we can kind of fire off a pub, and it just kind of works, and we can do our consume, and we can receive. Now, I mentioned that this is compiled, but you can actually, hello, nanos. Nothing's stopping you from just running this as is. It'll go ahead and compile it and then run it. So it's a little bit slower, right? But now you can kind of see that it still works as expected. And just to show you another thing that I found kind of interesting. So both of these programs, they're about 7 megs, which is not so bad considering it's coming from like a Ruby-like environment. And if we kind of look at ops image, let's see, LavinMQ. So the whole Unikernel right now is about 100. Okay, so, but that's not what the actual binary was. This was set to 100 probably because I actually set the, in fact, let's just go ahead and look at it real quick. Because I probably stubbed it to that specific size, right? So Lavin, so our manifest, yeah. See, I just stubbed it to 100. And that's probably because like Lavin wants, some temporary storage and so forth. And I don't typically like spend too much time when I'm getting these packages. I just kind of say, 100 should be enough. Because I don't think the rest of this is like that big at all. It's, 30 megs. So you could probably drill this down to like, I don't know, 40 or 50. And then it's really just a function of like, how much do you need to persist and so forth. But this is a cool little message queue. And I find it even cooler that it's using Crystal. And I don't know, I mean, I guess we're going to have to spend some more time looking at Crystal and check out some more tools in the ecosystem. But this was your running LavinMQ as the nanos unikernel for this week's Spotlight. Till next week.